Wait, I can hear someone breathing.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear us though.
Hello,
This music is so
everybody.
groovy.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's here to get the people warmed up for another discussion about all things related to AI. How are you guys doing? Welcome.
Doing well.
That is good
Welcome,
to hear.
everybody.
Welcome, everybody. Let me just start this off by addressing the obvious thing, which is the lineup and the thumbnail here. So let me just mute the music for that. Basically, we tried to fix a lineup for here, and we scheduled this about a week in advance, but there have been some short notice changes. Dave Shapiro cannot attend due to private circumstances. So unfortunately, there has been a change. We're already in talks for the next one. We're doing one of these every 2 weeks. So, don't feel too bad. We're still going to have a fantastic discussion with Matt Pro, Bike Cloud, and Dylan Curious hopping in to fuel the discussion. We're going to be talking about various topics that we'll introduce here soon. Windows recall, Rabbit R1, Llama Free, not being open, GPTs, and more. But before we begin, how is everybody doing? How are you guys? Welcome.
Doing well.
Pretty good on this amazing day.
Yeah, I can't complain. Things are decent.
Okay. Things are decent. We had, as we talked about in the green room, I suppose, things have been a bit slower ever since OpenAI came out with the loaded guns. And we had a bunch of Google announcements. We had a bunch of Microsoft announcements, and we're here to discuss it. For
And
anybody
Igor,
who's
you
new
had
here,
you had kind of an exciting morning. You want to show him the old arm?
Oh, it's a good point. Okay, Matt, you missed this in the green room. You okay? I'll show you. So, I don't know what you guys were up to today, but I booked a tattoo session, and let me just show you. Look at this.
I cannot wait to see
got-
Matt's reaction to this. This is gonna be so good.
Oh, man.
Mm.
Okay, that's actually sick, dude.
It's an otter
I'm a
surfing
huge
a
fan of
wave.
that. That's awesome. That came out
An
great.
otter surfing a wave. Oh my gosh.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I
man.
love it.
You're next, Matt.
Wait,
Yeah,
is
gotta
that
get the lemon
your
tattoo
Oh.
up there?
Sorry.
No
that your
tattoos for
first
me
tattoo?
just yet.
No, a big lemon tattoo on the right breast. It would be great. I think that'd be perfect for you. Just do shirtless. It would be amazing. They'd love it.
I have the lemon in the background right here. I could get this exact thing.
That would be
No,
that would be perfect.
I'm not gonna brand myself just yet. All right, I'm
That'll be
still
good.
waiting.
And do it with Stable Diffusion 1.5 just to be funny, like nothing bigger than that.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. Dude, like one way to think about it, it's like it's just a memory of the good times you had on YouTube, Like you'll never regret that, thinking back to those moments. Like this.
True.
Where four of us
True.
are in a live stream
Yeah.
about to discuss all things AI. So before we do that, and guys, we're actually gonna do a poll here. Matt had this fantastic idea of actually like asking the audience, like, what do you guys want to talk about? We have these topics here for you, but I'll be setting up a poll while we play a little game. Gentlemen, are you ready for a little AI-related game?
Okay.
With your skills.
I'm ready.
Do it.
This is a first for our community live stream. Some
Yeah.
sort of interactive game. I like it.
Amazing. So it's very simple. I'm just gonna switch to this like screen sharing setup. By the way, good to see everybody here in chat. I see some familiar faces in here. Speedy, you're all over all of this content. I've seen you in Matt Vid's Discord, on his Twitter, on my Twitter. You're everywhere, man. Good to have you here too. Anyway, I'm gonna switch
Yeah,
to this.
he's a great community member.
100%. And then, so this is what I've got, okay? This is what I've got. It's 2 screenshots.
God.
Okay, and before you voice your opinion, have a close look because, everybody in the audience will harshly judge you by your opinion on this. I actually haven't thought for how we're going to reveal this. Maybe I'm going to do a little countdown, and when I count down from 3 to 1, you can just say left or right. So basically the question is, which one of these is AI? Take your time. Chat, you can participate, obviously. Please share what you think. Which one of these is AI? By the way, Midjourney has been used, but always different versions of Midjourney to recreate some of these images. So.
Yeah,
Oh, this
I
is
think
a-
I know.
Interesting one.
Yeah, you bet. You thought I was gonna make it easy on you?
This is difficult.
It is tricky.
Oh, I think I figured out. There's something that gave away.
I think
I've got
none
a
of these are
theory
impossible.
here.
Dude, I think that's gonna be the best part. I want to hear your theory for sure. Okay, chat is a lot. Ooh, dude, chat is like
Oh, it's split.
50-50.
Wow.
Every second message in chat is like left, and
Oh,
every other
yeah, I
message
wonder
is
what
right.
they're seeing. Surprised.
I see a lot of votes
All
for
right.
left. Definitely
Okay.
still some votes for right though.
All right. Then let's do this, I suppose. Guys, how are we going to do this? Are we just going to do the countdown and you say what you think? Or do we just go one by one? But then you
Or
can-
just
Point or
say like
something? Yeah.
left or right on 3, maybe?
Okay. Lift your
Uh,
hands, okay? So this would be right. Let's do that. This would be the right.
I don't
and
have
this
a
would be
Oh
the
hand.
wait,
left
is
hand.
my screen
Does that work?
inverted? I don't know. Hold on, let me
Oh,
think.
true. We have Mr. Cloud.
Wait a second.
All right,
Why
I'll
don't we
just
just
show-
go
I'll
If we're
with
just
looking
show-
at your
Scrap
screen,
that one. Scrap that
it
idea.
would be
Scrap
on the
that idea.
blank.
Okay. Just say what you think, and then we're gonna go around, I suppose. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Left.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Interesting. So, Dylan, let's start with you. Why do you
Yeah,
think it's the right one?
And we're talking about I think the one on the right, the one that's brighter, is a real photograph. Did I get it right? Maybe I'm playing the game wrong, but to
Okay.
me, I see the fingers. Those three fingers seem like they're kind of in line with
Over
the
here?
thumb, which
Mhm.
is a little bit tricky. I think I think it's called occurrence or something, but it's like the way that light reflects off metal specifically on these curvy things seems legit to me. And then little things like the bowl and stuff kind of down at the bottom feel too kind of weird for something like Midjourney to generate.
Okay, that's a good point. I didn't even consider this, but the way the liquid is on here, it's an interesting point. Okay, then I suppose all the three of you agree that this one would be AI and this one would be real, correct?
Yeah, but I want to share my theory if that's
Please.
okay.
Of course.
So, the one that's on the left looks very realistic, obviously. I mean, it's super hard to tell, but the one on the right, I noticed with the kebabs, it's very easy to distinguish what each piece of fruit is, or, in terms of like a kebab. And you'll also notice that the yellow, what are they, like little corn things? I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they're sort of in line as if someone actually put them together, being like, okay, I want to do it this order, this order, this order. And the one on the left hand side, not so much. It kind of just looks like kebabby, like, oh, this is what kebabs look like. And
Yeah.
that's sort of the way I feel, AI generates stuff. It's like, yeah, this is what it looks like. But it's very much, there's like this tangible aspect to the right photo for sure, where it
Wow,
looks like
look at
someone
that.
put them together.
Amazing. Some real insights here. I thought that was super. So that was a super good share, man. Thank you for that. ByCloud, do you have any thoughts? Sir ByCloud, has the Terminator taken him yet?
Yeah,
Is it- oh,
I
he's
didn't
here.
realize I was muted. Oops.
Good.
I actually sent you a screenshot of where I think it kind of gave it away. So maybe if you can pull that up on Discord or something, if you're convenient. But
Fair.
are
fair
you
enough.
able to show it on the screen, or
Oh.
is that a bit difficult?
Oh, like
I
the
can describe
generation?
it. No. The image I sent you is
Ah,
it possible for you to
wait,
show it on the
wait.
screen?
Okay, give me a second. I think I can do it. Yeah, I can do it.
By Cloud gone.
Yeah, wait.
By
I'll
Cloud
save
back.
it. Okay.
Someone
almost
says,
got it.
wouldn't would the
You
would be
basically
charred
pointed,
too?
pointed to here. He circulated around.
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Okay, exactly.
Well, oh no, that's a preview of the next one. We
Oh,
didn't
no.
want that.
Oh. Yeah, there's one stick,
This
but
is
then
what he-
there's pointing out. So
Yeah.
I figured that was the weird part.
Okay. Nice. So
Ah.
isn't it amazing how everybody found something different to look at and something else to consider? But yeah, that's kind of, I didn't even notice this. It's kind of a giveaway, right? Like why? Where's
Yeah.
the second? What? Yeah.
The second.
Amazing. So yeah, I gotta say, everybody who said this is the AI generated one, you are correct. This is created with Midjourney.
Let's
V6.
go!
I feel like
Yeah.
this is gonna be harder,
And-
get harder and harder.
And I gotta say, great feedback from chat. We should also let the chat vote, and we will absolutely do that. My thought was just I'm gonna set up this little poll for the four topics we're gonna cover, or like some of the topics we're gonna cover. Meanwhile, but yeah, we can do that.
You could do
after
you guys know that
multiple polls.
doing 2 more images.
Okay.
Okay, let's do the dog.
Okay.
Sorry, you can speak, but there, yeah, like look at this. Meanwhile, I'll set up the poll in chat for
Yeah.
people to vote.
I'll throw one thing out there too. So this is technically called the liar's dividend, which would be like a great way to title this segment, because what's happening is people are now getting so confused about what's real and what's fake that they give extra attention to what's fake, trying to figure it out, and then they end up like actually absorbing the brand or the concept more. So it's like a whole strategy people are using.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So we should do it with like 2 AI community logos, or like, or like just all the channel logos.
Yeah.
And wow, that's
Could
a
be.
that's a good point. Thanks for sharing that.
This one is a lot harder.
Yeah, this one's.
This is the hardest one I picked.
Yeah, because they both have that fuzzy background, that bokeh effect.
And then we can't really zoom in.
Well,
I like
can
this
zoom in
one.
for you.
Nah, it's okay. I think we should keep the challenge uniform.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if we zoom in, I might be able to find a real giveaway.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I think
as
I'm
is,
ready.
chat is already voting. 61% of the people are saying it's the left one that is AI generated.
Really?
Yeah, but what do they know? Now it's at 55.
Oh no, yeah, they're throwing me off. Now I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah, it's at 55. Maybe don't. When will Sam Altman be on?
Tough one.
I don't know. In 2 weeks, I suppose.
Yeah,
Someone
call them
invite
up.
All right, I have my guess locked in now.
Okay, that sounds serious.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Ready to go? Okay, so I'm gonna do a countdown.
Yeah, sure. Let's
Which
go.
one of these two is AI generated? And 3, 2, 1.
Left.
Right.
Left.
Oh.
Ooh, we have a split, ladies and gentlemen. This should get exciting. Okay, go ahead, break it down for me.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm just like stepping back, and my gut instinct is the one on the left is more real. And I was trying to think about the way the shape of the dog's body, and the right one maybe looks a little awkwardly long. Like it just feels like his butt maybe. I mean, he might just be twisted, but I just think it feels a little bit misshaped. But I can't really point to anything in particular besides that.
All right. Next up, Mr. Cloud, want to
Mr.
share?
Yeah,
your
Mr.
thoughts?
Cloud.
Okay.
Mr. Cloud.
My idea that the last one, since bokeh are usually the same, the circles are a bit distorted to like the very left side. So that I was just going off the bokeh effect because I can't really see fur and whatever. So that's because like bokeh usually, no matter which angle you take, the camera lens is always circular. So the light should always be a circle. So that's my guess. But wow, this one's really hard.
The chat is
So-
50-50 right now, by the way. just
Mr.
saying.
Mr. Cloud, I might have to disagree with you on the bokeh.
Ooh.
As someone who's a huge nerd, that's called the cat's eye effect. But I still
Oh,
agree
really?
that one is the AI generated photo. Yeah, and I think you can tell by the bokeh actually on the one on the right, because if you look in the background, you can clearly see to the left hand side there's some sort of object in the background there that that was there when the photo was taken. Yep, that. So I think that's probably some people next to a tree or something like that. And also the dog has one ear down and one ear up. And I feel like chances are AI wouldn't generate that.
Ooh.
I think they would
Oh.
the chances
Ooh,
are
see,
that the AI would either do both ears down or both ears
Oh.
up.
I would have never
You've
considered
convinced
that,
me.
but from
Sorry.
experience, that resonates. Yeah.
Wait, did you
And
say
it
the
just
left one
appears-
is fake or the right one's fake?
I think that the one on the left is fake. So I
Okay,
agree
yeah,
with
that's what I
ByCloud.
said. So yeah, okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but I just had to
interesting.
correct you in a nerdy way about the cat's eye effect. Sorry.
okay.
Any-
Great. Yeah. Maybe
so yeah,
maybe
that's my
yeah.
reasoning.
Interesting. So chat is completely confused on this one. They're 49% to 51. It's jumping up and down. They're not sure. And I gotta be real. I had to double check myself which one is the AI generated one. Turns out it is the left one. The left one is fake. Yeah. The ears. Good point. I'll add one more. You know what I personally usually
been
look
got.
for? I look for the depth of field and where how the plane is situated. And I think on this one, it is actually a giveaway because it is obviously a very shallow lens, right? This is like a 1.4 or a 1.8 aperture at the very least. And if it's focused on his eyes, which it obviously is, then the back of his body should fall off into blur, which it does. That's perfect. But if you look at this part, the grass doesn't fall off at all. You go one grass helm behind the dog, which should be like, you know, a few centimeters, whatever that is over there in the US, like just very small amount of measurement.
Yeah.
If you go just one is it a helm of grass or whatever, like one grass behind it, it's completely blurry. And it should be more like this, where it's a gradual fall off, right?
Right.
Oh.
And
That would
the
be-
situation on the left-hand side is just a little too perfect in terms of the bokeh background. Like, it's just really nice. There's nothing wrong with the background at all. Whereas the photo on the right, we can actually see there are some things that we could consider imperfections, like the people blurred out in the background, let's say.
The chat is freaking out. They're like, wait, what? It's like a bunch of messages in all caps. Yeah, it's tricky, right? But this bokeh fall off is a good giveaway. This, like, everything being too perfect is a great giveaway. A lot of points here. I hope you guys find this educational in the audience too. I have one more, and then we'll move on to the discussion, all right? So this one is which one is the fake hammock? Is the one on the left or the right? Which one is AI generated?
God.
I'll start a new poll.
All right, I know immediately.
Okay, yeah, I think I know too. I got my guess.
That was quick. I didn't even manage to put the poll up. Poll is up, everybody. You can vote. Some people saying so obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm set too.
Okay, everybody ready to go? Yeah, then let's do a little countdown. What do the gentlemen think? Which one of these is fake? 3, 2, 1.
Left.
Ooh, everybody thinking left
Yes.
is fake. What's the reasoning behind that?
So for me, I think that it seems less framed up on the right, which feels a little more real to me. There's more just clarity overall. There's sort of some dirt and kind of shape, like the geometry of the Cartesian plane, like underneath it, seems legitimately the right shape to me compared to the other one, which does seem real, but it also doesn't give me any clues that that's definitely like real. So I think the one on the left is fake.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Moving on. What do you guys
Yeah, I
think?
think
Mr.
at
Cloud?
first glance, at first glance, it looked kind of weird. The depth of field was kind of messed up on the left, and then when you look closely to like what's it called, the thing dangling, and then it just doesn't make sense at all. I think mesh of texture.
Yeah.
So that's the point for me.
Matt, do you have a final
Yes,
nail in the coffin?
Yeah, so for me, the one on the right, you can see all of the ropes are nice and taut, holding the hammock up with gravity.
Yeah.
You know, right? You know, it's going against gravity, making those ropes tight. You don't see that on the other one. They're kind of bending in weird shapes. They're combining with each other. They look veiny, and that's something that AI has struggled with AI imagery has struggled with since its inception. So that was a pretty dead giveaway.
Yeah. Also, this part, I think that this is also a tragedy. What is
Yeah.
this? So fair enough. Exactly right. And like the left one is the fake one. And I got to shout out Kevin Rank here saying left because you always put the AI on the left. Sir, good analysis.
We social engineered you.
Yeah, but what if I did that on purpose? Okay, that's it. So chat, please share. How many of those did you get right? 1, 2, or 3? Just share a number. You know, like come on. There's no prizes, no point. And like, just be honest about it. How many did you get? I think I would have got 2 out of these. I think the dog one is super tricky. The first one, I didn't see the detail that Mr. Cloud picked up on. I think I would have got the dog and the third one. 2 for
I think
free.
the
dog-
first one, the first one's real image is a bit too real. The medals are way too like dead giveaways, I think, because the medals are pretty perfect.
Yeah,
All
there's
right.
that's a complex scene. I mean, they were all fairly complex scenes, except for maybe the dog one, I guess you could say. And the more complex stuff gets, the harder it is for AI to resolve it properly. So I think that at least for the first one, it was pretty easy.
Have any of you guys come across Instagram profiles that feel completely fake to you, like out in the wild, like not looking for AI stuff?
No, I don't. I don't really use Instagram all that much. I'll be honest. Like I like follow a few meme pages and that's it.
Okay, because yeah, I found
For
myself.
me,
Yeah.
like LinkedIn or people's email icon, I'm so used to like seeing AI generated images of that. Now I think every like profile picture that people have like a front profile and that's really professionally shot is like AI generated for some reason.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think that there is definitely like recognizable AI text easily. Like you know when something's AI generated or not necessarily when something's AI generated, but when someone has done it lazily where they just slap something in a chat GPT and copy and pasted the output. That's so obvious to me at this point.
Mm.
Like it's the way that the paragraphs are formatted, the way that the wording is structured. You can tell when someone doesn't put a lot of work into prompting something that they make with AI.
Yeah.
Well, just that whole concept of being like, oh, it's too perfect, you know, like is that really skin? Is that really barbecue? You know, that's just kind of a new thought for me now when I'm on the internet. Just like that seems too real.
Oh yeah. No, and I mean, there's some stuff that I've seen that I've like, wait, is that AI? Is that AI? And like I've seen especially some of the photos of like celebrities, for example, I thought they were real at first.
Yeah. So that was fun, huh? A little interactive thing in the beginning. Moving on
Yeah.
to, you know, the main topic of the day, and this is something we've been looking to do ever since the idea of this channel kind of came up, like a YouTube community channel. We were like, let's just discuss the interesting stuff, but in a group setting instead of, you know, one person to one camera. So that's what we're going to do here. And we picked out 4 topics in advance here for you. Let me just quickly recap them for you. One of them would be the Windows recall feature. That's where the Windows laptop is screenshotting your screen all the time, bringing up a whole bunch of security issues, etc. Could talk about that. Second is the Rabbit R1 controversy with the CoffeeZilla videos and everything by Cloud Volunteer to catch us up here if you're not up to date. So like hardware AI drama, I suppose. Llama free not being open source, the 400 billion model. That's the third option here. Okay, there's like the rumor mill is on fire right now around that. And then the last one is one that I was curious in, is like what's next for GPTs? Because they've been kind of in this weird in-between space ever since November. And now Copilot is following with their Copilots and Google with Gems. So just a discussion around what's next for the product and what's next for that product in terms of consumers. So everybody, you get to vote here, okay? We're probably going to do another vote after we're done with the topic. We'll see how it goes with the time. And I suppose maybe we'll cover 2 or 3 of these by the end of the stream. We'll see how it goes. But basically, we want this to be like community decided. So everybody go ahead and share your opinion in chat. We have 59 votes right now with 127 viewers. It's almost 50% participation. That's really good. So, you know, we'll wait for a few more and then we shall see. Right now, next evolution of GPTs is leading with 41% and then Rabbit R1 controversy.
Yeah, because I think your last stream was when you were doing the OpenAI announcement, right? So the Microsoft build and the Google I/O happened since your last stream.
Exactly. So the first one was just a welcome stream. Then we did the OpenAI restream and discussion with Matt and Tim. And here we are, 6 weeks later.
Time actually flew so fast.
That is true. It always does.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me tell you, as an old man, you know, in my 30s now, time flies, son.
I feel like we were just talking about it the other day, and then now we're live again. I didn't even do the one 2 weeks ago, and I feel like the live stream we did together was like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Not that long.
Someone just pointed out that Dylan's shirt is very funny, and I agree. I didn't even notice it at first, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that shirt.
Yeah, I got a pretty good collection of nerd shirts. So it's like I've been building up for a while. But they have I've got a bunch of like neural network ones too, a bunch of robot ones. So some good nerd shirts out there, man. Redbubble.
Amazing. Do you have like a whole rack behind the camera? Like just every video?
I have
you
a
just switch it out?
whole I have a whole closet. It's so ridiculous. My girlfriend's like, "Why are you doing all this?" And I'm just like, each one's got its own theme, and I have like videos I want to match up to the. It's like too much.
Yeah, it's like there's always one chatter that appreciates. You got to understand that.
Yeah.
She'll come around. All right, so I think the votes are in. Gentlemen, we have 84 votes. That's a pretty solid participation here. Good job, everybody. Next evolution of GPT is actually winning with 43%. And then the Rabbit R1 controversy. I'm surprised that the Windows recall feature is so low. It's actually last spot. I thought that would be interesting to people. But maybe they're like over it by now. They're like, oh yeah, corporations trying to spy on us. What else is new? Maybe. That's one take. All right, so I guess I'll end the poll here. We'll do another one once we're done with this topic. But basically, let me open this up, I suppose. So the evolution of ChatGPT has been an interesting one, and one that happened in public, right? They're shipping things to consumers, to pretty much everybody. There's always a 2-3 week rollout, but pretty much everybody gets the stuff that they announce. Now, they released GPTs, kind of this like new packaging and frontier of the technology. Like that is, as I understand it, that is their vision for how consumers and users should be interacting with this product, rather than like one generalized model, like also having these like specialized packages. But turns out most people don't use them. Turns out they're kind of tricky to build. There's a lot you need to consider in the instructions. The knowledge base doesn't work as well as RAG does. And the actions take a little bit of development experience to set up. Heck, you need to host your own API endpoint and turn that into a schema and then include it. So like that is one thing. And then now in the past 2 weeks, and this rounds up my point, OpenAI released the new version without really improving GPTs, just GPT 4.0. But then Microsoft Copilot came out with essentially the same vision for they have the Copilot Studio, which is like a GPT building studio. And Google came out with the announcement of their gems, as it's all the same idea. Now, first part of the question, and we'll go around the docket here, is do you think this is the direction they want to develop their product in, or is there going to be like a hard pivot once we hit like a new paradigm of like agents or whatever? And second one is, what do you see as kind of the next evolution, or like the next frontier for this? What is the next update they'll ship to GPTs? Whoever wants to take it, feel free to.
Okay, so I would jump in with talking about the memory feature. So we saw the updated memory feature to ChatGPT, where you can say like, here's my name, here's the name of my dog, here's the kind of situation I'm in. And I would say what it feels like in the long run over the next year or so is we're just going to see more and more experimenting on how to build that memory up without somebody actually going in and typing. So recall is probably going to be about screen recording, so it knows what your workload looks like. I think that I typed in my own API endpoints and it became really convenient. But on the other hand, I log into some of these different social media networks, and I already have session cookies that are behind the scenes. And if I did trust it to record that memory, it could just learn that without my help. And when it's watching the way that I talk with people and interact with the internet, what browser tabs are open, I think that it's all about giving a long-term memory and a real understanding to you to make these devices go to the next level.
Interesting. So you see the memory feature as an integral part to the future of the product.
Yep.
Variations of that.
Yeah, I think that's the big like pathway that everything else is going to be built around, is like, how do you get that long-term memory in there?
Matt, what do you think?
I would definitely have to agree. Like, I've been playing with the memory feature quite extensively up until this point, and I have to say it's come in handy quite a few times, especially when I do stuff for my YouTube channel. Like, when I just paste something into it, it just knows what I'm trying to do. It's like, okay, you're trying to have me write your YouTube description for you. Okay, let me help you with that. And I specifically had to say, like, remember, you are here to help me with this task, so remember that, put that in your memory bank, and whenever I do this, that's when I want it, sort of a thing. So I think that memory is pretty integral. And I think that concerning GPTs right now, it seems that OpenAI is teetering on these two edges of like, everybody can use it, where it's, we don't even have to type to it anymore. We can just talk to it, as we saw a few weeks ago with that demo with GPT 4.0, right? Integrated into ChatGPT with that very natural human sounding voice. And then, there's the other side of things where it's like, okay, custom work, custom GPT. So they're treading on like these two types of products, like heavy dedicated AI users that are going to use GPTs. And then, the kinds of users that just want to use it every day to fill in the thing. And the thing is too, what I found interesting about me personally is that I barely ever use GPTs. Most of the time, the model can just handle it with a quick prompt. And I've learned how to prompt it at this point. So I just throw stuff in. And especially with the memory feature, it's kind of become its own custom GPT in a way that's personalized to me. So I think that at the end of the day, something similar to GPTs has its place in the world, but I'm not sure that it's best for OpenAI to continue their path with GPTs and maybe sort of move to the more personalized AI assistant, easy to use for everybody. Because there's things like NVIDIA, the NIMS, for example, like that's sort of like customized GPTs. There's other platforms that are coming out that are going to be better for developing custom AI projects that use large language models.
Yeah, you might end up having something like Gem be integral into the Google Suite in a way where it seems like you just get a gem for email, you might get a gem for spreadsheets, like something like that. Right now is probably just the early stages of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I was thinking how
Right.
OpenAI is trying to do two different directions at the same time, like two different markets where it's like everyday people and like the coding productivity people, where they're developing into the mobile sectors where it's become more accessible for people. So I think they might aim to reduce like latencies in generation is going to be their highest focus, and then make it like very fast for mobile user, because the whole thing about mobile assistant is they want it to be like instant. Like if you have to wait for like maybe 1 second, people will be like, nah, I'm not gonna wait for that. And like Google is probably faster, right? So I think OpenAI or like GPT in general probably take in two directions. Is probably they're going to invest heavily in the mobile, and then they're going to do better like foundation models that's larger and perform better for the developers. So there's going to like be like two sides to what they probably will plan. No, this is all
Yeah.
guess.
I agree.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Thanks. I think on what you're saying, ByCloud, just a quick note. I think mashing them together in the same product is definitely. I think that they can definitely target both markets, but just mashing them together into ChatGPT is not a good idea. I think they should make a separate thing that replaces GPTs. That's not a part of the ChatGPT that the general public uses.
Hey, Igor, do you feel like you're going to see a future where your like OpenAI GPT could go talk to your Google Gem, and like maybe one gem is your calendar and one is your email, and it might say, can you like with permission, I only have so much access, but can you add this to his calendar, but I don't have that permission.
Yeah.
Can you take over?
I surely hope so. That is kind of like my theory on it. I think there's so many good points there. Wow, like really enjoyed listening to all of this. So like first of all, I think there's definitely a split between two markets within their consumer product. Usually when people talk about OpenAI's business model, they kind of like split it into devs, enterprise, and consumers. But like I think you're totally right. Like we operate mainly in the consumer segment and talk to like people in the consumer segment here on YouTube. And I think it's a difference. There's a big difference between somebody crafting a GPT that maxes out the instructions, uses the knowledge base to its full potential, and has multiple actions versus a person who's like, write me an essay, right? I think there's a huge divide there, and those are two completely different target audiences. But I would push back on one point that Matt brought up, and that is that I think these power users, when they create something and they create these, as the chat is also saying here, these specialized versions of ChatGPT, when they create those, I think these casual users can benefit from that really easily. And I think that has been the idea. I think that's why they mashed it. It's just not at a point of usefulness where like you have to use it. It's like, they're like decent, they're like helpers, but like if tomorrow GPTs disappeared, my life wouldn't really change. Some tasks would take a little longer. I would have to reprompt certain things and do certain things manually, but it's like, it's not a time saving where it's like, do this or like get left behind. It's not that type of, seismic shift. So that's one thing. And to address the second point that Dylan brought up, I think that is I personally think that is the next evolution. I think those like actions are going to evolve into a drop down that is going to allow you to log in with your Google account, and you're going to be able to log into your Google Calendar. You're going to be able to log into your Gmail, whatever other app. It's going to look like what Microsoft showed with Copilot Studio now, where the add-ons and the actions are more like Zapier or Make, rather than like this like coding interface. It's going to be a bunch of like apps that are connected with OpenAI and that you can log into, as it was the plan with plugins initially, right? And then they scrapped that, they went to GPTs. But I think the next evolution is really not going to be hosting API endpoints, etc. I think it's going to be a simple drop-down where you log in with Google and all of a sudden it has your calendar. And all of a sudden that little GPT that somebody built, that he optimized to really like manage your calendar well for your particular context, right? There's going to be many different ones. But I think that could be really beneficial to everyday users that use one-line prompts and you know, don't even craft them well. I think having GPTs like that could be nice. And that's why I think the actions are going to evolve in that direction. And we're going to see, you know, obviously better models, but also better tooling in the actions department that is going to be more intuitive. That's what I think.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of a fabric for which all of these different models can actually connect to each other. And it's interesting, like, will Google allow OpenAI to use their fabric, let's say, of the, you know, Google Drive, Google Calendars, etc.? Or what if OpenAI tries to go develop their own, you know, fabric, let's say, where it's like, oh, log into your OpenAI account and then the models can access your stuff here. So it's interesting to see how the companies will fight it out for something like that, but I absolutely agree that it's the next step. I mean, we can do all of this stuff ourselves, but we just need the AI to do it. So that's where the divide is. We need the AI to start to be actually being able to use the apps, not just generate text all the time, right? Actually go off, complete actions.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. It sounds weird, but like I'm really hoping that English, like just language, is the way they communicate together. Because I was thinking about, you know, the APIs going in the background and using like Zapier or something, and then talking with APIs where I can't understand. But it would feel like if we have a more agentic workflow, even if we don't have to for optimization, if they are individual agents and they are talking to each other in English, it allows us to kind of dive in and see what parts of our agents are out there doing what and saying what to other agents, which can help us communicate and understand like what they're doing and make them safer and work for us in more optimal ways.
Yeah,
right.
I think that makes sense. There's also this one take from chat, but this is a point I was gonna raise anyway. Is another theory of mine. Like I have like these two big like theories with like the GPT evolution. One is this like development of actions into more intuitive interfaces. That just makes perfect sense. And the second one is that like the next big update, the big shift, I don't think it's going to be called GPT-5. I think it's going to be a feature that allows you to select one boss GPT that talks to a few children and manages them. I think, I don't know when that's coming, because that does take a certain level of reasoning and a context length, but I think that would unlock a lot.
I have a good point on this. There are some tools that have attempted to do something like this, like we're talking about. Lindy comes to mind. I don't know if you guys have come across Lindy yet. No. Last time I tried it, didn't work too well, but you could essentially assign like a boss GPT and then, or a boss GPT and then some other GPTs that are assigned under it, and then even GPTs that are assigned under that. And the main issue that we were having on getting, you know, something like an AI news researcher bot structure working was really just the way in which they communicate with each other. They weren't able to, the boss would be able to say, oh, go out and start to fetch some data or something like that. And it would go and fetch the data, but it would never send it back. So it's got to be somehow integrated into the architecture, I think, of the model itself to a degree, or the reasoning capabilities just have to get way better. There's some missing link there that allows these models to actually start to communicate with each other, and that's what we're looking to see next.
Yeah, there are a lot of Asian research papers talking about how different instances can like properly delegate tasks and then receive information and then show it presented properly. So I think it's interesting because it depends on the model's performance, and then the model performance doesn't really tell you about how how a model can interact with another instance. Not a lot of benchmarks that test that, like when let's say like GPT-4o, when you have different instances, how well it can communicate and delegate tasks with each other compared to like Llama 3 and whatever. So that's definitely something to explore too.
That's interesting. Yeah, when you said, I mean, I did a lot of experience. There's even this like at mention feature now, right? Where you can link multiple GPTs easily together. I tried building one boss GPT, if we want to call that. People call this swarms. People call this like multi-agentic frameworks. There's many terms for it, but it's this basic idea of like one overseer managing multiple, acolytes, or there's so many words you can use there. Anyway, the point is that I think these models have been set up for the exact opposite of what kind of a manager or an overseer or a boss or a multi-agent kind of organizer, whatever, should be doing. Because if you look at the job of an assistant, then it's really, there's a relationship implicit in that word, right? There's somebody who performs the tasks, and then the assistant who supports the person performing the tasks. And then if you look at a manager or a boss, that's like, I don't think even an assistant to a boss kind of like cuts it. I think they're like completely opposite. So assistant in an organization and a person telling all the other people what exactly to do and what direction, like basically the captain of the ship. The assistant is it's not just different, it's the exact opposite. And I think what we have with GPT 4.0 is an assistant. That's what it has been kind of perfected as of.
And imagine when we get when we get the new like llama boss model and you download it and run it locally and it just is telling you what to do. It's going to be like, Dylan, it's time for you to wake up. Now you got to go take care of this and that.
No. Yeah.
And then it's like, I also got some other agents out there doing that other stuff you were too lazy to do. And I'm like, okay, yes, sir.
And then give it the name of your mom, the voice of your mom too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, parents coming soon.
Yeah, the macro future is so blurry in regards to that. It's like, where are we really headed with this technology? And especially right now, I mean, maybe transitioning a little bit more towards some of the other topics that we were discussing. It seems like AI is kind of getting a worse and worse rap. Like the general public or the general populace is looking at AI in sort of a negative light.
Yeah, unless you want to do the polling, but maybe ByCloud could fill us in on the whole CoffeeZilla thing, because I'm dying to know more about that.
Yeah, we can.
Oh yeah,
do that,
Rabbit R1 controversy. Wow, that rabbit hole is deep. Because I think everyone probably saw the MKBHD destroying Rabbit R1 on Twitter, right?
Yeah,
it was practically it's pretty obvious it's not a perfected product. It does not respond well. It has insane amount of wait time, latency, and then some APIs doesn't even work. Right? There's like Uber Eats where it just says like that service is under maintenance, and then that is the whole thing. That's a whole product review side. And then about the CoffeeZilla video, he did some digging on the company that Rabbit or Rabbit is, and then in the first he actually made 2 videos, and those 2 are pretty interesting by themselves because he presented the evidence. Since I don't think I can present evidence today, so you guys probably had just what I have to say. But anyways, before CoffeeZilla's video, there was a very big issue about how Rabbit handles security, like authentication. That was on Twitter. That was really trending on Twitter, and then that kind of just went away. It was a big thing, and it just kind of went away. And then the CoffeeZilla video dropped, and then in the first video, he talked about how the background of Rabbit. Rabbit was actually a crypto company like a few years back during the crypto boom, like 2022, 2021. And now they don't associate themselves as that crypto company. Well, of course. And then they renamed themselves to Rabbit. And then they started doing the whole promote. And then the founder, which is the guy that presented the Rabbit R1 with Jesse Liu, with like a very compelling big words, like announcements about our Rabbit R1. They just talk about how it'll be the next level of assistant, and then how it's so good that they need to take it out onto a hardware, and then stuff like that. It's basically like those crypto empty promises. And in the old crypto startup they proposed like carbon zero crypto, which at the end the project kind of just disappeared. And then the investment funds are gone, and then people ask for refund. There's that. And yeah, that's the first video. It was kind of about the background of like Rabbit and then how its promises on crypto didn't deliver, and now moving on to AI, they're using the same method of saying a lot of different buzzy words and then rely on general audience's belief that it's revolutionary because GPT-4 and whatever, and then they can just do it themselves. They have money, they have the intelligence, because general public can't really like tell apart like how well an AI research is being done, right? They'll need, like, if you just say, oh, GPT-4 is insane, and then what's the problem of another company that cannot do that? If a company can do that, another company with money can definitely do that too. Well, that is not the case as we can see now, but open source slowly catching up. But anyways, on the second video, he talked about how he actually got the R1, and then he got a few devs, well, both devs that are open, not affiliated with R1, and then devs that got fired from R1 to do some to present some of the evidence. So first of all, he tried to reach out to Rabbit R1 and Jesse, the guy Jesse, to like ask for a lot of evidence, and then try to like ask about stuff that R1 promises. And well, first of all, he was like greeted with aggressiveness, and then saying that CoffeeZilla's investigation is not in good faith, and then so he started to collaborate with those like individual people that's not affiliated with Rabbit to talk about well, he didn't collaborate, but yeah, he took their points and he started talking about it. The first one is how it uses Android was it like Android as the base function, so it's like the mobile phone Android, and then it violates Android terms. Since it is open source, you need to follow like specific terms where each update needs to be pushed to the user, and Rabbit didn't do that. That was probably the first one that they mentioned. And the second one was the bigger one, which was the initial promised revolutionary large action models, right? So in the Rabbit R1 trailer, Jesse promised this new large action model that they have that surpasses a lot of other models in performing actions. So they talked about how they trained this model that can do various things like make calendars for you, like to make phone calls for you, or like plan trips for you, or like a lot more complex non one single turn tasks. And well, this is probably the highlight, since large action model is the main selling point. But it turns out that the large action model is relying on a GPT-4 wrapper, and the web browsing, which they were the most confident about, is a perplexity wrapper. So so basically, it's just a wrapper, and just a wrapper in a plastic hardware that is very bright orange, and all these and then the Rabbit employee that got fired, who is remained anonymous, mentioned how there's actually no large action model, but Jesse keeps on claiming that there is, and then deferring the argument to how like it's doing like smaller things, since they kind of got exposed that it's using a GPT-4 system prompt. And they actually have a system prompt that specifically states that it cannot mention that it is a GPT-4 API or like a GPT-4 or OpenAI affiliated. And then
sus.
And they use like hard-coded codes to like perform actions. Like for Spotify, if you ask it to play a random song, it will always play the Beatles songs. And then if it's like calling like browsing websites, it's like hard-coded codes using this Chrome extension or whatever I forgot the name of. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's definitely unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that summary. That's basically what the videos communicated. If I may, maybe just a quick like 2-sentence like roundup of that, of anybody just tuning in or like asking in chat. basically it's a hardware AI hardware company that overpromised and massively underdelivered. None of the things they ever outlined ever worked. And then now, as they dissected it, the whole thing is built on Android and has a few scripts running in the back, and it's just it's a hardware ChatGPT wrapper, where they promoted it as this like revolution in software and hardware.
And they promote it like they have their own foundation model. That is
Yeah.
one of the problems too. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they raised like 20 or 200. I forgot 20 million.
Yeah,
I think
30
they
million,
sold-
I think.
I think they sold 20 million, if I recall it correctly.
Yeah,
But
they
ra-
sold 20 million and then they raised 20 million or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
they raised like
Yeah.
30 or 40, and yeah.
Just
I mean,
unfortunate.
I remember seeing the Rabbit R1 like on Twitter feed, and I'm like, it's way too early for something like this. Like, no way this is going to work as well as it does, especially if it doesn't have, some real software to hold the large language models to the way that I think we were just discussing. I mean, we aren't even there yet, and this is months after the Rabbit R1 was announced, or they made those claims about them having this foundation action model, and they're more of just like this marketing shell company than anything else. And I never really gave them the light of day, I think, because I knew it was kind of going to be this big nothing burger where it's not actually going to be as great as they promised. They had no research papers, they had no previous experience, it seemed, with artificial intelligence, so they just kind of came out of nowhere. So it was like, yeah, I don't really trust you guys, kind of a thing from day one.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys remember in the comment section from your last community stream, everybody was saying like goodbye Rabbit R1 because that GT4O model just was doing so much with vision and multimodal that it felt like it was kind of what Rabbit was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I would like to circle this around, if you guys are okay with it, to talking about how this is kind of a bad look for the AI space. Like, not only, just being a kind of a shell scam company or whatever, but also just the product being bad in general. It might make people think like this is where AI technology is, and they're holding up this little R1. That's not necessarily true. We have better vision models than are accessible in the R1. We have even better action models, especially with GPT-4o. So I think in general, it's just kind of a bad look for the AI space.
Yeah, I agree. And this is like one lesson that the crypto space, I think, has taught the whole world. And that is that not everything that shines is gold. And a lot of marketers are just going to hop on the new hot thing and just go with that. And I think luckily, like, AI is more of a actually usable technology, API endpoint, consumer product, all this, as opposed to a framework where you can like really storytell around it and extract people's investments around that story. But we're seeing echoes of that in the forms of like an R1, right? Because if you take it, it's just basically taking all the AI hype, it's putting it in a little orange box and attaching marketing to it that resonates with the people. Yeah. And then once the thing ships, it's like 20 mil.
Yeah, like one of the main things that I'm thinking about here is how do we as creators, reassure the public that AI is something that is absolutely worth continuing to believe in as a solution to a lot of humanity's issues. I mean, that's at least how I see it. I don't know what your perspective is, but it's something that I don't think that the public or we should give up on at all. I think it's revolutionary technology, and it'd be a shame if we started to heavily regulate it and just shut it all down because we're either scared of it or because we think it's going to be something similar to a cryptocurrency scam.
Yeah.
I think having something... Sorry, you can go first.
Okay, so with YouTube influencers, the one thing I do love is that I didn't really even know what to think about the GPT desktop app for Mac until I saw Matt Wolf actually play with it. I was like, this is marketing hype. It's great videos, but let me see an actual human that I think is a real human just playing with it, to like find out if it's trustworthy or not. So yeah, I just think that could be kind of a role where we could always, I don't know, try to be honest with our audiences like that too.
Yeah, I think there's always needs to be something that set an example, like R1 for people to clown on, for people to make fun, and then to like let people to know that not everything, as like people need to like think about stuff more logically and then can just believe big words. So I think this is a great lesson for like general public, where it's not everything that is pitch decked on AI related to AI is great. Like there's need to be some like thoughts to it before like, oh, is it actually good or not? You know.
I mean,
So I think these are great lessons, and then these people are risking their their life, you know, doing these fraudulent things, you know. Maybe it's a good lesson for everyone else.
yeah, definitely good
Right.
lesson. I mean, that's what comes with great potential. It comes also the people who kind of want to abuse it for their own interest, right? And they're gonna spin up stories and scams and lies around it. Like everything that brings promise always brings like the shadow side to it, I suppose, right? And this is the first like big one we saw in the AI space. Other than that, you know, like the biggest harm that I've seen from a consumer's perspective is like a $10 subscription app that gives you ChatGPT 3.5 in an iPhone app, right? And like arguably that's not even a scam. Like so, there just haven't been that many opportunities. But I think I landed on this when I thought about this thoroughly, and that it is just way too early. I think in the development, like AI wearables and hardware, they're just like further down, and we don't even have models that can source things reliably. I mean, look at the Google search debacle from last week, right? Yet again, they did it again. Like it's
Yeah, and I remember being so like if I could talk to myself from just 5 or 4 years ago, I remember thinking crypto. I was bought in like deep down in my soul, like this is going to change everything. It's going to revolutionize education. We're going to keep all our IDs on the blockchain. It's going to be like interbank world currency and like allow governments to like not be so bloated. Like I just in my mind was like, this is going to be everything. And now fast forwarding to where it is today, I'm like, oh, it was just this tiny fraction, and there were so many scams. And yeah, I got to try to remember to be a little like with this AI revolution. I am trying to be a little bit more like realist or slow, pessimistic, but also keep an eye on things day by day, just to see that exponential curve still going up and where it's real and where it's not.
Right. I mean, looking for true value, looking for true change is definitely, I think, what we should continue to do. But the critical eye is just so important as we move forward with every single thing that we see, whether it be a paper, whether it be a product, whether it be a new model, something like that. Like we have to maintain that critical eye as members of the media, so to speak, to keep it honest for the viewers.
Yeah. And I think that
Yeah.
is really, that right there, what you said, that is the highest value that we should hold ourselves and each other to. I think it's just like, you know, you'll get the cover, you can get the same coverage in different places, but like what makes YouTube unique is that you get it through this lens of a single person, right? And like for that lens to be worth anything, it's got to be honest. If that, you know, if that
Right.
lens is shifted and like refracturing the light in ways that are not obvious, then the signal is not going to arrive. So I think like honesty is like the number one thing. And also there were some comments pointing out that some fellow other AI YouTubers, you know, called the Rabbit R1 like the future like too soon, etc. But that's fair, right? Like with the information you have at that point in time, you just do your own analysis and you present that opinion. Doesn't mean you can't change your mind over time. Obviously, like when Rabbit R, like what did you guys think when it came out? What were your thoughts? Like my thought wasn't like, oh, this was a scam. This is gonna be like whatever. I was like, that looks interesting. Like that, if that works, like holy shit. What did you guys think on launch?
I
was
thought
like,
it was
it's-
too good to be true.
I was just like, oh, it's definitely a GPT rapper.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
everything
same
is these days.
thing. Did I like so Matt, I remember when you were talking about Llama 3, you were so excited and you're like, this is the newest model. But at least I remember how excited you were doing the demos. And then you got to one point in your video where it was generating images and you had to like be like, well, with image generation, I mean, it's not top notch, you know, so you were able to be excited about pieces of it and not other pieces. But that to me was like the real overview of what Llama 3 is capable of.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about in that specific use case. I was talking about the Meta app they had, and Meta has their own image generation. It's separate technically from Llama 3, right? So it's like, okay, here's the good parts about this app. Here's the bad parts about this app. I really tried to put the viewers' perspective in there, like what the viewers are going to be looking for, rather than just my own, because I'm not necessarily in the situation that a lot of other people might be in, right? Some people might, or most people actually, most people that I see in the comments are like, I'm not using it if it's not free, right? So there's like
That's a
these
bit
perspectives that you
yeah,
have to keep in mind.
for sure. That's a bit skewed though, because like only the people who want to complain will comment. The people who don't have a problem
Right.
with it won't be there
Yeah.
typing it out. So it's
By the way, I have like
definite.
I also just so people know, I think we should be really thankful. Like the world didn't have to play out this way, but I think we got kind of lucky that GPT started a $20 a month model, because if these large language models were being developed at the cost they are, at the scale that they are, but the
That's a
entire
good point.
business model was ad based, it would be such a mess. Like these models would basically be persuading us with their like core intention. So I am
Yeah.
like, I think people should be kind of happy to pay money for some of these models, just because it aligns the incentive of the companies building it with the actual user paying it. Because if there's a middleman who's an advertiser, like some people call advertising the original sin of the internet. Like maybe social media would be different if the only way that it worked was people giving $5 or $10.
Man, what a great point. Like just imagine a world in which, you know, the Transformer paper wouldn't have been published and they would have just developed it internally. Maybe it would be another year or two until they have GPT-4 level, you know, capabilities. But they wouldn't give it out for free ever. They wouldn't reveal the architecture behind it. There wouldn't be this like space race for the best model now. It just would be one Google model because they had the research for it and they would be developing it and integrating their ad products into it, siloed off. Nobody would have access. There would be no, I think this for the consumer, obviously this is the better scenario that we are
I
in.
think we should be very thankful, and I think most of the thanks, honestly, from what I've seen online, should be going to the researchers who are really passionate about developing this technology further, because they're the ones who are always pushing it for it to be, you know, something that's not to be hauled away and just commercialized for the end of time, you know, proprietary. They want to share it and have this huge competitive race for who can build the best model, and that just works out great.
Yeah. And the consumers win in that scenario. Is that a bit better, Dr. Neal? You said Igor needs a volume boost. I boosted it a little.
Yeah, I can hear you better now too. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I think Transformer paper was meant to be open source anyways, because for these early on theoretical papers, those have barely any values by itself. You can see that Transformer paper did really well. They didn't do bad, but they barely did anything rigorous on testing their models, and then they didn't really go in depth on like testing language modeling especially. And then it was people that saw this paper then implemented themselves, then the value was discovered. So there's a lot of things that, you know, there's a huge trade-off where, oh, you're not going to publish this model, maybe like you're not going to publish LSTM, like no one's going to know how well that's going to do, and then they're not going to discover the value until they open source it. So maybe if that paper wasn't like published, maybe like the whole field would be delayed by 10 years or 20 years, who knows.
Yeah,
crazy to think about, honestly. And it's like, where is AI going to end up in that 10 to 20 years from where it is right now, right? It's so incomprehensible to us because we just started like 2-3 years ago from this becoming mainstream, right?
Yeah, it might have been delayed for like 10 years. And then here we are.
ChatGPT moment is kind of the marker for that, right? I don't think the earlier Midjourney versions or like the first DALL-E version had that viral moment. I think it maybe made some waves, but like November 30th, 2022 is the moment. Wait, 2022 is the moment, yeah. So that's 1.5 years.
I remember this just proves how much of a bubble I was in, because I remember looking at the ChatGPT. I'm like, oh, this is the same thing that their API can do, but now, you know, it's just on a website. This is going to be like a huge, like, not important at all. But then it's like the defining moment for AI going mainstream. So I couldn't have been more wrong. But it's like that proves that just because I was, you know, a nerd, an enthusiast in this technology, I was completely shielded from what the reality was actually going to become at the end of the day.
That's why, like, I'm sorry, just wanted to say that's why a lot of times, and like when you talk to investors, there's like this like common truth that usually somebody who's really close to the research and to the technical aspects of a product is not the person who should be running the company. Like, because you have such a skewed and like warped view. You're too deep into it to like perceive it the way that a consumer would perceive it, and often that's the only thing that matters. Yeah, it's a great example, and I have another one. I have another situation like that from my life that I want to share here in a second, where I completely underestimated tech, and then it just the world runs on it. But sorry, you were Matt. You were gonna say something, and BuyCloud, you also had a point.
I think Dylan was going to
we'll
say
move on to
something.
BuyCloud.
Yeah, Dylan, I thought you had something to say.
No, I mean, I'd love to hear other times you underestimated things too, actually. But yeah, I know that even the researchers at OpenAI underestimated the ceiling. It didn't feel like something like this could scale with data infinitely, even though like the markers were there in GPT-1 and 2. But it did, and it still kind of is, and that's why you see the like $7 trillion in compute is like needed ASAP, because it just doesn't look like there's a top to this for some reason.
Yeah, not financial advice, but Nvidia is looking kind of juicy there.
Yeah, I was about to say Jensen's like the exception to having, a huge research nerd run your company. Right?
Oh, have you guys heard of his story? His like entire life story. It's incredible. You guys should, if you guys have the chance, you should definitely see it.
What's a good?
I think he has really good perspective on AI.
Is there a video for that?
Well, I'm not too sure. But okay, he's basically in a uni lab doing research, doing hardware, and then it all started there, like himself building the hardware. So he actually knows what he is doing, and he knows all the low level stuff is what makes him so impressive, I think.
Yeah. Igor, what did you underestimate technology? I'm dying to hear that.
Maybe like, I figured that would maybe be a good question, because like Matt shared that too, like BuyCloud and Dylan, maybe you can think about it while I answer that. But was there ever a point in your life where you saw a new technology and you were dismissive of it, and then it turned out to be the one? I remember for me, it was when I was, I think, 11 or 12. So this is 19 years ago. And this was right around where phones started becoming really popular, and particularly phones with cameras built into them. I remember like there was this like megapixel race back in the day where, your schoolmate had the 1.2 megapixel camera, but you had the 2 megapixel camera, and the delta between those two was so undeniable. It was just, like if you go from 14 to 16, it doesn't make a difference. Matter of fact, 14 to 40 barely makes a difference for the web. But if you go from 1 to 2, it's like huge. And I saw that, and I was fascinated by it. But there was one feature on that phone that I thought was terrible, and therefore his 2 megapixel phone was obviously going nowhere. And it was a touchscreen. It was one of the first touchscreens. It might have been the first touchscreen that I've ever encountered. And it was not really a touchscreen. It was a press screen, if you know what I mean. You really had to, like, use some force for it to recognize it. And I remember, I'll never forget this moment. I think it really like shaped what I'm doing and like who I am today. Like I remember thinking, and I was so convinced of this. I just thought to myself, like, touchscreens? Are you kidding me? This is never going to become a thing. Buttons? That's the way. Buttons are always going to be the interface. Like, why? Like, this is leading nowhere. And here we are with Apple being the #1 company in the world selling phones with touchscreens. So, yeah, that was my little moment where I was, like, completely wrong. And I think it just made me, like, reevaluate my first judgments, first impressions. BuyCloud, do you have a story like that, maybe, or Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan, do you have one? I'm still thinking of it.
Yeah. I got plenty. So my life has mostly been on the other end. I have like a terrible history of overestimating everything. 3D TVs, or like I was like, this is great. Parallax is like insane. Everybody, and like by 2019 we'll be using this, and like that was a failure. And I felt like VR with like Meta Quest was gonna hit faster than it did. I thought crypto was gonna be like a bigger impact than it did, and then. I guess large language models. I saw GPT-2 thinking, I was, when I did a little bit of like hacking away at TensorFlow, I knew like a little bit about how bag of words model worked. And I thought, I didn't understand at the time that GPT-2 was built the way it was. Like I didn't quite understand like how the tokens were sitting in latent space and making predictions. And so when it worked, when it worked, I was like, it's not going to work much better than this ever. And this is not like a real solution. And then it scaled up and I guess caught me off guard. So, but I know it did for a lot of people.
Never underestimate tech.
Yeah. It's hard to predict either way.
I kind of got into things like when GPT-3 was not yet publicly available, but GPT-2 was, and I remember using GPT-2, and I'm like, this is crap. You know, it like makes like these weird 4chan style posts constantly because the data was garbo that it was inside of it. It was a tiny model. But then, like, I remember, and I think I've spoken on this before. I don't know if I might have even spoken about it on the last live stream. Like, I also have a history of overestimating stuff, but then in this case, it wasn't an estimation on my part. When GPT-3 was being previewed, I remember watching a YouTube video and just being like, "That's not real. There's no way it actually works that well. There's some sort of shenanigans going on under the hood." Because it was just a guy having a conversation with the chatbot. I'm like, that cannot be that good. But then it turned out to be completely real, and that's sort of what sucked me down into the AI rabbit hole in the first place. Was just
another one is I got my Tesla Model Y like right when it came out, and I like got the full self-driving package. And I remember like my girlfriend was in the passenger seat. I'm like, don't worry, baby, it's got full self-driving, and it was so bad, and it barely kept me in the lane, and sometimes it would turn on the blinker when we didn't want it to. And I was like, this would be just another 6 months, another 1 year. I kept listening to what Elon was saying. And I was like, robo-taxis 2022 makes sense to me. Like, here we are, you know? So
I think it's a part of the deal. I just got to add to like my story. I had many instances where I was completely wrong on the other end too, where you overestimated. I think it just comes with the territory. Like we as humans, we're not very good at like computing math and at predicting the future. I think this is one thing that every single person on planet Earth with some sense will agree on, that we're just not very good at like predicting the future, especially in a mid to long term window. Some great takes in chat too, by the way. I just want to shout out that the chat has been super active. And guys, you can please also share answers to these questions that we discuss here. So have you ever had a moment where you underestimated tech in a big way and then it turned out to be different? Maybe I'll just add like my comment here to what Dylan said there. For me, within the crypto ecosystem, it was one super small niche in particular that really got me, because I used to play a lot of games, and I've just been a gamer all my life, and the whole like intersection between NFTs and gaming, I really believed in that. I just figured like all these skins that you used to buy, and that they're like owned by the centralized company, that it shouldn't be that way. Like I believed in the idea of like true ownership when it comes to these gaming assets. But yeah, as of now, it turns out to be a big, nothing burger. But we shall see over time. I'm still keeping my eye on the space. I have a lot of love for parts of the crypto space, but you gotta know exactly what you're looking at, because it's like mostly it's a mess, and it's a
it turns out Steam does better than crypto. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and
that is funny.
That is funny. Yeah.
Centralized crypto? Oh, you mean Steam? Yeah, I invest in that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the CS:GO skins, right? That I think they're the most valuable digital assets in game ever.
Yeah. I played CS:GO growing up, actually.
Yeah.
I nearly went professional. That was terrible.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about this? Press Rogers in the chat some time ago said voice is the next touchscreen. Obviously, that's sort of referencing the new GPT-4 Omni model and how incredibly easy it appears to be to talk and use ChatGPT with this multimodal model. So what do you guys think? Voice is the new touchscreen. Do you think that interfaces are going to need to change significantly in order to compensate for the new things that we'd like to do with AI technology?
I actually saw people talking about it. How voice is probably not going to be the key, because I think we're at the information age where the faster we can process information, the better. And voice is way slower than text. We can read about like 400 words per like minute, or like, I mean, for voice, we probably depend. Oh, wait, that's sick.
I'm just adding.
I think that's a wrong comment.
No. I just want to show off some comments here. We don't really have space for it, but there you go.
But yeah,
my cloud. Sorry. No.
Voice is way too slow. Audio is way too slow for processing information unless you're doing something at the same time where your main content, like your basically your vision is not available, which then I think it's more efficient. But yeah.
Okay, so I think voice. I like really do think voice is probably kind of the end game or like a really big deal, because when we think about voice right now, often what it's doing is it's transcribing and it's taking the words. And this is like my problem with email in general, is that there is something subtle, and I would say it feels like maybe 80% of communication when I talk to someone isn't even the words I'm saying. It has to do with like the inflection, if I'm talking fast or I'm angry or I'm happy, or just all these subtleties. Even if you can't see my face, there's something about the way it sort of shapes my throat, I think, that like changes the way that the emotion comes through. And there's so much context there that hasn't really has been captured by these models yet. And as we move into that world, I think we're going to see something kind of new emerge that is beyond voice, even though it is technically just voice.
Yes, I have something to say on that too. And I was just thinking going into this, I think that it's probably going to be a huge combination of both voice and vision, especially if you're actively doing something like if you're trying to fix your car, you have your Meta Ray-Bans on and it can understand your voice, it can see what you're doing and kind of help you in real time. But then there's also the idea of what if we take it a step further? Like, for example, I have this is an Aura ring. And this ring, it's a digital ring that tracks your heart rate. It takes your blood pressure, like all this. I don't know. That doesn't take your blood pressure. That's wrong. But it takes your like oxygen saturation levels, and it can track the data over time and predict stress levels. It can track your sleep, stuff like that. So what if we add this modality or these biometric modalities into the large language model interface, where it can help you in a much deeper level? And I mean, far in the future, right? So it's like, let's say you were trying to fix something, you're working on a problem, and the AI can understand you're angry. It's like, actually, your best course of action right now is to stop what you're doing entirely and go take a break.
That's
for example,
happening.
like
That's no doubt. No,
right?
no doubt that's happening.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
think
sick.
these,
Yeah.
it's like what would be the value to having a therapist with you 24/7, especially in the largest, like the most critical situations? Well, turns out that is seriously valuable, because if you look at some of the top hedge funds in the world, they all have their internal performance coach or whatever they call it, but it's basically somebody who's there to kind of adjust the mental state of everybody in these high stakes situations. I think that it just only makes sense that it trickles down to like a personal level, if that's economically viable, which is at this point with the GPT-4o demos, it's just a question of time, right? We get a basic version of it.
Yeah. But it's like, it has this whole invasion of privacy too. It's like all my data, it understands exactly how I'm feeling and what it's like to be me, so to speak, on a rough level every second of the day. So ads could be targeted in a way crazier direction.
I have a little comment on the voice thing, because it has been a big topic on the internet. I remember like Gary Vee has been very adamant about this about 5 to 6 years ago, that voice is the next big frontier and everything. And I thought about this a lot, and I think like the argument falls apart in one point. It's a very simple one, and that's basically that this entire world has been set up to be visual. As a comment here suggested, I think this was a fantastic comment here. I just have to quickly pull it up. That basically 80% of our communication is nonverbal, right? So that means we like, yeah, it's not just by what you hear. That's not everything. Even if you like analyze the intonation and kind of all the subtext. So if the world is like set up in a way for it to be visual, then it will be very hard to transition to a new interface. Now, that is not to say that there's no value in that, and that there's not many individual use cases where it makes sense. But I myself have like a home pod, and I know sometimes when I'm like, I remember there was the situation last week. I came out of the shower and I wanted to know what time it is. I just didn't have my phone there. And it was kind of, I was weighing this in my head, and I kind of just thought of it now. But like walking out of the room and picking up the phone and just like looking at it was in my head the simpler option to like, hey, Siri, like, what is the time? And then like it didn't reply, and then like like you have to go again. It was just like literally like moving fingers, I think, is less energy spent than like using your voice at full. Like, can you imagine a day where you're speaking for 12 hours? That's an exhausting day. But when you're like
Yeah,
typing,
there's a
you're chill.
So I don't know if you saw there are some not leaks, but I think just reports that's coming out of the R&D division inside of Meta about a potential build for something called camera buds. And they're, you know, you can think like AirPods like I have on, except they have cameras that look kind of fisheye on both sides of your head. And I think something like that kind of makes sense too, because even though you might not have the Ray-Bans on that like actually project in front of you or look directly in front of you, that way some kind of version of her, some Scarlett Johansson voice could say, hey, you like your ex-girlfriend's like coming up on the right, or like the barista like has your drink ready over there. So it could talk to you, but it could also see maybe, but it wouldn't exactly be your vision, but it would be around you, and it would understand your environment, like when you're driving a car and when you're with your family.
I think it's a modality that's going to be in there for sure. Just not like the
I think
only
that
thing. It's not going to be the universal interface.
And I think this
that's
has huge implications. Oh, sorry. I'll let ByCloud. You should definitely.
No. I just want to say that was a good idea because, you know, generally people will be more willing to wear earbuds, and not necessarily everyone would use glasses. And then having it's like a different perspective, which is pretty neat. And then
this is
Ray-Ban feels more attached, you know, something that's a bit extra, where earbuds is more fitted in our lives right now.
Yeah, I see a great comment in the chat here saying, I don't even like talking to people from the remarkable end. That's a great point. So this leads me into Neuralink. And like the first Neuralink patient has been, I don't know if you guys have seen the clips where he's operating a computer all through his mind. I mean, it looks like magic. So imagine having that hooked up to a large language model where it's like, I don't have to go walk over, pick up and look at my phone. I don't have to say, hey, what's the time, Siri, or whatever. All I have to do is think, what's the time? And then I know what the time is theoretically or something, right? Or it tells me the time in the other room. It comes out of a speaker somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. But that's another thought.
While scary, that does make perfect sense, like on a rational level, right? It's just because the bandwidth of it, the latency is like essentially non-existent. Like I don't have to leave my, bathroom to like pick up my phone. It's just instant. I don't have to use my voice and wait for it to respond. It's instant. So that makes sense. But the privacy issues, that's a bag that I'm not sure you want to open that Pandora's box here on stream, because that discussion is like, that goes deep. And I don't think there's
like a 5-second delay on your thoughts so you can pause.
Yeah.
It's insane though that it's even like a possibility though in the future. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of what blows my mind most is like, yep, that's science fiction and we're here.
It's the end game, as Odrox says here in chat. It seems like
there's a convenience and privacy trade-off that different people have different amount of tolerance for that. So
I'm just thinking, No, I'm just thinking like it would be really great to have Dave here to chime in on some of these discussions. Would love to hear his perspective at this point in time, right? Next time. Yeah, but good topics we have here. Do you realize it's been 90 minutes?
Yeah, no, I do.
Holy moly.
It's time flies by for sure, but I was thinking, I was like, we've probably been streaming for a decent amount of time at this point.
We have. But fantastic discussion there. Sorry, ByCloud, did you have a point? Didn't mean to.
Yeah, when there's a group of people that's interested in the same stuff, the time and the discussion, it just flies.
Yeah. But it's rare. That's why we have this channel. Every 2 weeks, everybody watching, go subscribe, leave a like, go do all that good stuff. What else can they do? Hit the notification bell. Go check out all our channels. I think that's all I got. That's all the CD is.
Moments in Trading says, what happens when ChatGPT sees you committing a crime through, theoretically the earbuds or the glasses? Would it call the cops on you? That's a whole other thing. Like, what's the responsibility there?
I think it doesn't. I think it's sort of like if you give it that level of access to you, I think it has like the obligations of a doctor, right?
Right.
It's like no matter what they learn about you, like if you go to a therapist and you tell her that you did something illegal, the therapist is not allowed to report that legally. She's obligated.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it calls the police before you do it. Like it would probably be like with 99% probability, like, why did he get in the car with that weapon or something? You know what I mean? It'd probably be pre-crime, probably be like Minority Report.
His heart rate is elevated.
Wild.
Yeah.
freaky
Yeah,
stuff.
these are great topics, honestly. But the question is like, do we want to go deeper on this, or do we want to talk about another topic, or do we round it out here? How are you gentlemen feeling? This has been a
I'm
solid
feeling
90
a nice
minutes.
round out. I do have some other tasks in my day that I would like to attend to, so I think a round out would be quite nice. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
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 I'm down. Sounds good to me. So yeah, with that being said, we had a fantastic discussion here today. Again, for anybody that tuned in later, we had a different lineup of guests, but that changed spontaneously due to some private circumstances. You can subscribe to the channel because we do one of these every 2 weeks. So, you know, Monday, same time, same place, 14 days from now. You'll find us back here. The roster is going to be rotating. We always cover the freshest topics. That's the idea, at least. You know, if there's something urgent like the OpenAI stream happening, then that is the one we'll focus on. But yeah, we covered a lot of topics. We covered the R1 scandal. We covered the future of GPTs and ChatGPT. And now we had a nice and yeah, decently deep discussion surrounding all things voice and Neuralink. And yeah, I feel like this one we could go on for a while. But in the interest of time, gentlemen, any departing messages you would like to share? Anything you would like to point these wonderful people watching the YouTube channel towards? Anything that you're proud of, anything that you recently did, whatever it might be. Closing messages, please.
Yeah,
Start with
Matt, do you
Dylan,
wanna go
maybe.
first?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Just thank you for letting me join the community. Obviously, I'm like one of the smaller channels, so I still kind of in that 12,000 sub kind of volume, but I like love this stuff a lot. So the opportunity just to chat with people like you that I've been watching for a long time was super fun. So I appreciate you.
One love, Dylan. Go
Awesome.
check out his channel for
Yeah.
sure. It's always good to have fresh perspectives. Dylan has a technical background that brings new facts to a discussion that otherwise might, you know, like it's always good to have multiple viewpoints. So yeah, thanks for joining, and thanks for joining our little hangout here. So go check out the channel for sure. Link in the description. All links are in the description, by the way. Yeah. Matt, any
Matt, do you wanna
closing
go?
thoughts?
I'll go. Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone for watching. I mean, it's been really awesome, especially to get all of the comments. Like the feedback from the viewers is so crucial, and to know where you guys are at on the discussions that we're talking about, I think really helps us get a better perspective, and give you guys more insight, right? And give better insight. So I just want to thank everyone for watching. I mean, point to something, point to my channel, point to my Twitter, all my links. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen some of my videos before. But yeah, we do have plans in the future to bring on other guests. I saw Matt Wolf actually left a comment, said he tuned in for the last 30 minutes, which is awesome. But yeah, we have a plethora of possible guests in the future for this little community live stream thing we got going on. It's kind of like a podcast. It kind of feels like a podcast, but podcast almost has like a stigma to it now, where this is just the community channel. It's for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everyone. I really appreciate it. Mr. Cloud, would you like to end
Mr.
your
Cloud.
Yeah. Before I do mine, shout out to Igor AI Advantage for like organizing this again. He put in so much effort for us and then to make this possible. So shout out to him. And yeah, if you're interested in AI related research papers, definitely check out my channel. I make it very brief and more fun to watch. And I have like a new newspaper where I cover the latest research paper and then I break it down. So if you're interested, check it out. I'll probably put a link down in the chat. And yeah, that's it about me.
Excellent. Check that out. When it comes to papers, ByCloud, fantastic source. 100%. Also, yeah, the new newsletter, I've been following it. Good stuff. And yeah, I would just like to say come back in 2 weeks. For myself, I just kind of looked at all my work throughout the week, and I did a little like highlight. I took 3 different highlighters with different colors, and I was like, what is the stuff I would be doing independent of, you know, career and YouTube channel and whatever? Like, what is the stuff, like if I was alone on an island and I had all the opportunities I have now, what would I like re-engage in? And the one thing that stood out was like interacting with other people with these like-minded interests. So like whatever propels that forward, I'm in. This was a fantastic 90-minute discussion that we wouldn't have had if we wouldn't get together like this. Thank you so much for everybody in the audience for like essentially like tuning in and also sharing your thoughts. There was a lot of good ones in there. And with that being said, yeah, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. There's only 30 likes. Come on, we can do better than that. There's like, come on, we got to get at least to 60. Please, before we round it out, 60 likes. That is my one ask today. Hit the like button, smash it, come on.
Smash it really hard.
Wait, guys, that also goes for the 4 of you or 3 of you.
Tell us who you want to
okay.
appear in the next one.
Ah, that's
Let
a good
us
point.
know in the chat.
Yeah,
Let
that's
us know
a
in the chat who
fantastic
you
one.
want to see.
Yeah. So Matt
You have
Wolf in the
a-
Oh yeah,
house
that's
right
always
now.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, whose thoughts you want to listen to? You know, Dave, he missed out today's. Maybe he will show up next one.
Yeah. And also I
Balls.
think Mr. Cloud, or here as Daniel suggests Sir Cloud, is a bit sticky. I think we'll keep that. Whether you like it or
Yeah,
not. Mr. Cloud.
Sir
Mr.
Cloud,
in the
Duke
house.
of Computers.
Great.
That's good. There's 92 likes. I gotta refresh. My bad. It's true. There's 104 now. Look, oh my god, the call to action.
So fast.
Nice.
Oops, audio. Okay. I believe that has been it. The like button has been smashed. Discussions have been had. We'll see you in 2 weeks on the AI YouTube community. And this is pretty much it.
You guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye,
and thanks for the
guys.
ladies for tuning in. I see you out there.
Oh, there's a 0.1%
Whoa.
chance.
Yeah,
Whoa.
we got the. There's at least 2 ladies watching right now. Yeah, see, Agnes right there.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have everyone here. See you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Bye.